They're not getting good pellets. They're tired of those T200s, which Mark will show you tomorrow. Were always showing up broke, and we were paying $32 a pellet for those, and we would get hundreds of them that were broke. And they would always blame it on UPS. They're like, oh, UPS broke them. We're like, really? Because we came to your office a couple months ago and we physically picked up pellets from you and brought them home in Dan's Panamera, which, you know, pretty nice riding car, and they're all broke. So UPS never even touched them. So it was just the nature of how they made them, that they were very brittle. And it's the same argument we use with Testapel as with them. And it's like, if I go have a picnic and I dump ice out in the sink and there's a bunch of little cubes and I put water on it, they melt very quickly, right? Because of the surface area. Same thing with Testapel. They use 75 milligram pellets, so they have to use way more to get you to a level. Well, if I put a bigger chunk of ice in there and turn the hose on it or the sink on it, it takes a lot longer to melt. So if you get crushed pellets or they're broken into multiple parts, your surface area goes up, you're going to burn through them faster. And it's the same thing that happens with Testapel, is people burn through them faster because the surface area is there, and they're going to run higher. So, but there's just, and we can talk more about Sodapelli and Body Logic in those places tomorrow. So anyway, let's get back to this. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Again, we base our dosing off that. LH, luteinizing hormone, triggers ovulation, falls off as corpus luteum, produces progesterone. It also stimulates the testes to produce testosterone. Now, one of the good things about DIM is it increases LH in men. So that's the fourth thing that DIM does for a guy. So if a guy's worried about the fact that his testes might shrink 10 to 15%, and I'll tell you, most guys would not be able to tell you if their testicles shrunk 10 to 15%. If they dropped in half, they could probably tell you. 10 to 15%, they're probably not going to know. And it's not that dramatic. It really isn't. So, but if they're on DIM, it increases your LH, which signals your testicles to keep producing. So that's pretty cool. Prolactin, hormone of pregnancy. We really don't worry about prolactin that much, but it's in there. Vitamin D is a hormone. Almost everybody is deficient in vitamin D, and there's numerous reasons, but one of them is that people are so scared of skin cancer and stuff that they lather themselves up with sunscreen anytime they do go out, and people just don't go out in the sun as much as they used to. So vitamin D is very critical. We talk in there about how to, why it's so important and how to balance it. Sex hormone binding globulin, we talked about that. Again, you have free testosterone, bound testosterone. Most people don't even know there's a difference between total testosterone and free testosterone. And free testosterone is what they're always chasing. A lot of these guys doing the shots, again, they just keep running their total higher and higher and higher because they want to get the high that they originally got off of getting shots, and it was the free that gave them the high. It wasn't the total that gave them the high. And the higher you run your testosterone, the higher your side effect profiles are. The more testosterone you have, the more it's going to convert into DHT. DHT, dihydrotestosterone, whacks the hair follicle. So you can have hair loss. So you can get acne. All that stuff comes from DHT. So the higher you run that, your hematocrit will go through the roof, which is how thick your blood will get. And like I said, we had a guy that it was like motor oil going through his, I'm serious, we were like, I don't know how you didn't stroke out. His hematocrit was higher. We've never seen it that high on anybody. So, and he's like, I have been real sluggish and stuff. And it's like, hell yeah, you're sluggish. Your blood's barely moving. So, andropause and hypogonadism. I'm not going to go through every sentence of that. But basically, andropause is the male menopause, or we like to call it menopause. Symptoms of untreated andropause include, so you go through, decreased testosterone, death, performance anxiety, behavior directed towards raising testosterone levels. There are studies out there that show if you're winning. I read a study that they did a double-blind study with people, and they would have them drive a brand new Porsche, and they would do their testosterone level, and then they'd have them go drive a used like Camry. And the guys that are driving the Porsche, when they drive the Porsche, their testosterone level would raise. They drive the Camry, their testosterone level would go down. So when you're doing stuff like winning, if you feel good about yourself, all that stuff raises your testosterone. So, but it's not going to raise it to where you're giving yourself bone brain breast, heart protection. So you have self-destructive behavior. Think about guys that have midlife crisis. They go out and have an affair because they want to prove that they are still a man. So, and a lot of that comes from low testosterone. Visible changes such as wrinkles, loss of muscle mass, loss of height, grumpy old man syndrome, shift in estrogen to testosterone rate changes. So you can get estrogen dominant. Of course, you get erectile dysfunction. And one of the problems with guys is denial. They think denial is a river in Egypt. And they think that, you know, if I don't have ED issues, I'm fine. And the fact of the matter is ED is one of the very last things to happen when you have low testosterone. So, you know, like me, I was 40 when I got pelleted, and my testosterone level was at 204, and you would have never convinced me I was that low. I've got 3 teenage boys all in football. I could whip any one of them, outlift them, outrun them, outwork them, everything. Didn't have any ED issues, so you'd have never convinced me. And then when I got pelleted, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I felt good again. And that's what happens with most men, is because we decline slowly. We just wake up one day and we're like, well, yeah, I can whip my kids, I can outrun them, I can outlift them, but I'm tired a lot. You know, I feel like I need a nap at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I don't know when that happened, I just know it happened, but it happened. So, and you just chalk it up to aging. Well, I am 40 now, so that's probably why. My libido's not quite where it was. Well, I was pretty active as a, you know, younger guy, so maybe that's why, you know, and I'm just, you know, whatever. And with me, it was my wife had breast cancer and had a bilateral mastectomy and all that. So I'm thinking, well, that probably affects my libido and stuff like that. And it actually caused a problem between us because she had all that. And I told her, no matter how much I told her, it wasn't you, it's me, she didn't believe me because she had a bilateral mastectomy. She lost all her hair. She gained 40 pounds and all that stuff. Well, when I got pelleted, now she believes me. It was never her. So, but it can cause problems in the relationship. That's why we say it, you know, solves relationship problems. So, but again, most guys just don't realize how bad they feel. And you get some women that way too, that they, you know, they're perky and all this and they have energy and they think, you know, I'm doing great. Well, the fact of the matter is, even if you do feel good, it's all the stuff that you don't feel that is really more important. The bone protection, brain protection, heart protection. #1 leading cause of death in women is what? Heart disease. Okay? Perfect storm for the heart. Why is it the perfect storm for the heart? Increases blood at the coronary, decreases inflammation at the coronary, removes plaque from the coronary. So, perfect storm for the heart. Your lipid panel improves dramatically in the first 4 weeks. HDL goes up, LDL, which is the bad one, goes down, total triglycerides go down. So there's the #1 killer of women. What's the #2 killer of women? Anybody know? Osteoporosis related incidents. It's a fact that within a year of breaking a hip, 80% of women will die within a year from breaking their hip. So, you know, they get bedridden, they get pneumonia, all this stuff. I'm sorry, it's 50% of women will die within a year. The other 50 will die soon, but not within a year. So, and this is a perfect storm for your bone because it increases bone density faster than you're losing it, and it's building supple bone. When you compare us to the bisphosphonates like Fosamax, Boniva, and stuff like that, yes, they can sometimes build up to 3.5% bone per year, but you're building brittle bone. All your major bones turn over every 12 years. So your bone is constantly, it's like your skin, you know, you slough off skin, your body's constantly regenerating skin. Same thing with your bone, they're constantly regenerating. Well, the problem is if I start regenerating brittle bone, before you know it, I'm actually more likely to break a hip being on that stuff than I'm off of it. So, and Jeff could tell you this on the BMD scans and all that. It looks great on a scan as far as a bone density scan, but you're building brittle bone. So it's not good stuff. So, you know, we're helping there. Women are 8 times more likely than men to get Alzheimer's disease. Men with low T are 2/3 more likely to get Alzheimer's disease. So all the stuff we feel is great. The energy, the weight loss, the libido, sleeping better, all that stuff's great, but the bone, brain, breast, and heart protection is huge. So I was talking to Jeff last night about his wife, and you know, she's a breast cancer survivor too, and he's like, she does great, she's doing awesome. She may be doing awesome, but you know, look at all this other, as far as how she feels. She runs all the time and she's in great shape, but you know, I would look at all these other things that happen, and I don't care how good a shape you're in, you see people all the time that are picture of health that drop over dead of a heart attack. They break a leg. I mean, look at that kid that was a basketball player that snapped his leg in half. You know, so.
30 is something my wife spoke about.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, and it's all testosterone. You have 200 testosterone receptors in the frontal lobe of your brain, which is all memory. So that I walk back in a room and I know I went back there for something, but I can't remember what, that goes away right away. It's pretty cool. Within 2 weeks, your memory comes back. So, but I mean, if you think about women getting Alzheimer's and men getting Alzheimer's and dementia, and it goes, you know, once you pellet them, on a woman, they're 8 times more likely to get pelleted. If you to get Alzheimer's and dementia. Once you pellet them, they're 50% less likely to get Alzheimer's and dementia, just off of testosterone alone.